Welcome to Out of Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, and WWBG 1470 AM as part of your TGI Friday lineup. Hope everybody is having a great Friday afternoon. We just finished, frankly speaking, Sports Carolina in the last hour. We got franchise players following this, but this is an hour of out-of-pocket takes, and we got your out-of-pocket regs in this week. Jackson Cordray, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. My Seahawks lost, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't pick them in our weekly picks. So I expected it, but life's good, man. I'm looking forward to the offseason. I'm looking forward to my number 5 pick with the Seahawks, and I'm looking forward to Jalen Carter. Thank you.
Hey, you got to thank Denver Broncos for that Russell Wilson trade. Getting to the playoffs and having a 5th overall pick. Kind of nice. I bet you didn't expect that in the summer. But you also gave me a hard time about not picking my Cowboys this past weekend, but you didn't pick your Seahawks either. It doesn't matter. But somebody who just got to watch on the sidelines and get to skip a week is Mr. John Cox, the unfortunate Philadelphia Eagles fan. John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Geno Smith and Dak Prescott are not my quarterback, so it's hard to have a bad day.
Okay, well, you have Jalen Hurts, so I bet it hurts to watch him play. Ha! Knee slapper. Okay, so, well, we've already mentioned the NFL weekend wild card. That's where the playoffs started, and it started out with Jackson's favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks, falling short to who I have said over the last second half of the year, probably the last 2 or 3 months, San Francisco 49ers are the best team in the NFL. I think they showed that this week. Jackson, I want your initial reaction as a Seahawks fan because honestly, they pretty much succeeded, their expectations coming into the year.
Well, as a Seahawks fan, I'm excited for the year. I'm excited going forward. My thoughts on this game were Brock Purdy is not good. Not good at all. Seattle held their own in the first half. That was fun. Going into halftime with the lead was way more than I ever could have expected as a Seahawks fan. But hindsight is that, man, Kyle Shanahan with top 10 talent is a scary sight, guys. A scary sight. Watching CMC running all over them, that is a nightmare. A nightmare for future teams. Having George Kittle all over the field and Debo being back. Guys, I'm a USC guy through and through. Go Gamecocks. But watching
Whoa. You mean
USC.
Southern Cal
USC.
or South Carolina?
Yeah, University of South Carolina, which is USC.
All right, so South
Anyways,
Carolina,
continuing
not USC.
on. No, well, we were the first ones. But anyways, watching Debo back in action this week and Brandon Ayuk, man, if once they get an actual quarterback, one of these actual ones, not Jimmy Garoppolo or Brock Purdy, but Trey Lance, once Trey Lance gets back into the fold, then we're watching a team that is contenders for the rest of Trey Lance's career, I believe. That team is stacked defensively, offensively. They're just missing one piece, and that's quarterback, and I think that shows this weekend.
Dude, I don't even know if Trey Lance has a starting job when he comes back this year. John, after watching this game, I want to get your take because the 49ers look like the real deal, and it looks like Brock Purdy is that guy.
Yeah, I mean, my takeaway is Christian McCaffrey is that guy. Ever since they added Christian McCaffrey and Shanahan's learned how to implement him as well as he can, they've looked unbeatable. With that being said, Seahawks, kind of held their own. I was impressed by what I saw by Seattle. They don't have the best defense, but DK and Geno showed out for the first half, and then kind of after that turnover in the red zone, the game was never really the same, I don't think.
I want to add one thing to that turnover real quick, Michael. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to add that the refs called a illegal man downfield when the guy was at the 2-yard line, when he's allowed to be at the 2-yard line, like 2 yards ahead, and that pushes them back 10 yards. Next thing you know, Geno's going to fumble because they're going to get to him where it was going to be 3rd and 1 or 2nd and 1, whatever the situation was. If Damian Lewis doesn't get downfield on a non-screen or a non-QB sneak, then we're not looking at the Niners going to go up 14. Instead, we're looking at a team that, they're about to score. They're in the red zone. It's about to get to 24-23. and San Fran's got the ball. You've got the momentum in that situation. It's absolutely ridiculous that Damian Lewis got upfield in that situation. It's ridiculous. Not only did he do it once, he did it 2 more times, guys. 2 more times. That's egregious. You can't have that happen. I apologize for losing I apologize for losing it, guys. I just realized how much I just yelled, and I apologize for the listeners. But that is absolutely the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. On clear, open, like gun plays, he's up the field. What are we talking about, guys? I'm sorry. You guys go ahead. I apologize.
If you're not watching us on YouTube, because we are now on YouTube through the Tobacco Road Sports Radio channel, you just saw me roll my eyes, maybe a record like 6, 7 times. I agree with you. It is momentum. But at the same time, you did lose by 18 points to the best team in the NFL. But we'll talk a little later about their matchup against my favorite team. Hopefully it goes different. I don't know if it does. But what could have went different is the Chargers should have been playing this upcoming weekend. They had a 27-0 lead against the Jaguars in Jacksonville, and all of a sudden, Jacksonville just storms back, wins the game 31-30. And John, I'm going to start with you. How is Brandon Staley not fired this week?
I have truly no idea. I think maybe when you look at the roster, they might have overperformed a little bit, and something bad was always bound to happen. I don't think Austin Eckler is really like as good as a lot of people think he is. I think he's kind of a result of like a fantasy football culture. I think we rank him a little higher than he really should be ranked. Those receivers, Mike Williams, very unfortunate that he had to go down. That was a big blow for them. Keenan Allen is not as young as he used to be. So that's a big thing. The play calling, it was bad. I think they ran the ball like 8 times in the second half, like just unexcusable. But with all that being said, I mean, you got to give it to Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, man. Doug Peterson is one of the best head coaches in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence is a great young talent. To have the mental resilience to go down 27-0, throws a pick like the first play of the game, throws 3 more in the first half, and then just to come back out there and finish the night off at Waffle House. You got to give it to the guy. He might be the best young quarterback we have in the NFL right now.
And I will add on to that, because especially at his age, being a second-year quarterback in the NFL, you go through sophomore slumps, you go through trials, tribulations, but to throw 4 interceptions in your first half of your first ever playoff game and then respond the way he did in the second half, that's something we've seen from the likes of a Tom Brady. Again, 28-3, Atlanta Falcons. But he had that experience going into that game. Trevor Lawrence did not. That shows how high the ceiling is, even though I think you're a little biased about Doug Peterson. But just think, you could have kept Doug Peterson, and instead you didn't. So it's whatever. Jackson, I know our YouTube viewers are just clamoring about, because you were saying this very same thing last week on the show, and I called you out of pocket for it. I don't know how you guys are in sync all the time on Out of Pocket with Michael Davis. Like, come on, somebody's got to take me up on this. But do you think firing Joe Lombardi, their offensive coordinator, is enough to make the changes in LA with the Chargers?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. They got to bring in a top-tier, well-known offensive coordinator, hopefully a previous coach that's taken some time off. But honestly, they should have gone after Sean Payton. This is an absolute travesty to Justin Herbert's career. I'm a big Justin Herbert guy. I think he has the potential to be one of the greatest players to ever touch the football field. He's Randy Johnson, guys. His arm is he literally is reincarnated as Randy Johnson, guys, in football. That's how crazy his arm is. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. But when you look at it, he has no true wide receivers outside of Mike Williams, maybe, and Mike Williams is a tier 2 wide receiver. Keenan Allen is retired. He's done. He needs to go to Cancun. He's over. Okay, that guy's legs are gone. His legs are worse than Bobby Wagner's at this point. Okay, and Austin Eckler is a fantasy merchant, guys. We're all like, oh, Austin Eckler's good, guys. Like he's putting up stats. Well, we watch him, we flip the channel, and see him put up 6 receptions in a quarter, and you're like, oh shoot, well, I just got 6 points in fantasy. He's got to be good. No, Austin Eckler has always been Austin Eckler. He's not a true running back. He is a receiving back at best. He is a third down back. He's the best third down back you can have. But you can't go under center and hand the ball off to Austin Eckler. That's just not going to happen. So they need to come in and bring in a true offensive genius that, needs to get things going. That's what needs to happen. And I'm disappointed it isn't Sean Payton at this point.
And especially with guys like Sean Payton, maybe Jim Harbaugh, maybe they looked for him. Jim Harbaugh says he's staying in Michigan. I don't know if I fully believe that. Who knows what's to come with that situation, but what's to come with the situation at quarterback for 2 playoff teams that lost on Sunday afternoon. Miami Dolphins don't play Tua. He's hurt, and they lose in Buffalo only by 3 points, 34-31. And then later in the evening, the Baltimore Ravens play Tyler Huntley instead of Lamar Jackson. Lamar and Tua both hurt, and the Ravens lose to division rival on the road. Sounds similar to the Cincinnati Bengals 24-17. So I wanted to combine these two because they're 2 very similar situations. Do you think either of these teams win their game if their starting quarterback plays? And do we even think they'll be back next year with that team? John, I'll start with you.
All signs are pointing to yes for Lamar Jackson. I think Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, was let go today. I think Harbaugh has mentioned room, which is probably the worst in the NFL. I think Lamar will be back in Baltimore. I think all this will kind of be put behind us, and we might think of it kind of as a Kobe Lakers trade demand moment, where it was really turbulent at first, and then that's the last we ever heard of it, and Lamar Jackson wins 2 Super Bowls. 2 on the other hand, man, I don't know. That's scary stuff. Anytime you have a concussion is scary, and then if you have 3 or 4 concussions in 1 year, like you got to really evaluate what you're doing as a person, and of course it's his decision, but that team looked completely different, and you could tell that offense, it didn't work in the same way as Tua did. I think if Tua plays, I think the Dolphins did have a chance, maybe the way Josh Allen was playing. It looked like the Bills had signed Carson Wentz before the game, and he was wearing Josh Allen's jersey out there, which I loved.
Yeah,
Well, I agree with you there. The Carson Wentz bit, that's funny.
That is really funny. I was about to say.
That is great. That is hilarious. I want to point
out.
And
John would know that too.
Yeah. Of course, you throw in Carson Wentz, the Eagles fan. I want to point out one thing to both of you. I'm just curious here where you guys have Josh Allen and like this quarterback rank thing. We all consensusly have Patrick Mahomes number 1, right? I think we can all agree Patrick Mahomes is that guy. But when we think of Josh Allen, like there are moments where you're like, man, this guy is phenomenal. He can be quarterback 1.5, while Mahomes is at 1. He could be right there with him. But there are moments where we're like, Josh Allen, do you play the position? Do you play quarterback? Because I'm confused how sometimes he could be so awful, and then sometimes he can look like the best quarterback in the NFL, and maybe one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen. It is fascinating how sometimes he just doesn't play the position. And you're like, dude, you know how great you could be if you just played the position at all times. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that Josh Allen bit out there. I am fascinated by who he is sometimes, because it is mind-boggling to me that, dude, you could be one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live, and instead you don't play the position, like, at all sometimes. Like, in this playoff game, they should have won by the spread of -13. But instead, Josh Allen decided not to be quarterback. And that happens sometimes. And I guarantee this upcoming week against the Bengals, we'll see him be like, good. It doesn't make any sense. Josh Allen is an anomaly in football. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I'll always I like putting him at number 2. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is number 1, obviously. And the reason I don't put Joe Burrow above Josh Allen is I look at what talent they're working with. But that might change this weekend when the Bengals and Bills play. We'll talk about that the next segment on Out of Pocket with Michael Davis. And we'll also get in real quick about the Cowboys and Buccaneers. Does Tom Brady play for the Bucs or the NFL ever again? As Brett Maher's missed PATs overshadowing the Cowboys' feats this past week on Out of Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoroadsportsradio.com, and WWBG 1470 AM. Welcome back to Out of Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoroadsportsradio.com, and WWBG 1470 AM as part of your TGI Friday lineup. I'm joined after the break with Jackson Cordray and John Cox. And guys, we didn't get to this before the break, but the Dallas Cowboys actually beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, something I did not expect, something Jackson ridiculed me. Like, how could you not pick your own team? They had never beaten Tom Brady, and it actually happened. And this poses the question of the future of Tom Brady. Does he play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Does he play in the NFL again? He'll be 46 years old this year. Jackson, is he playing?
I think he plays again this upcoming year, and I think he goes to Las Vegas for a multitude of reasons. One, I think in the future he wants to own a team and potentially buy into the Raiders, right? As of right now, that Raiders team has a couple of pieces offensively. They have a star left tackle. Devontae Adams is great. They got to re-sign Josh Jacobs, because they didn't take his fifth-year option because they thought he was bad. And of course, Darren Waller. So you have guys on the roster that are great, and they also have arguably, I'd say, the second best true pass rusher in the NFL with Max Crosby. So when you're looking at a team that is like actually okay, like when you look at it outside of Derek Carr, and I think Derek Carr is good, they're not a bad team. It adds that McDaniels is also the coach, so they have a connection naturally. I wouldn't be surprised if we look at a team like Las Vegas that could bring in Tom Brady going forward.
I just want to remind you that Micah Parsons exists. No way Max Crosby is anywhere on the level of Micah Parsons or TJ Watt or Nick Bosa, but that's a story for another time. John, you're one of the very few fan bases that can say they beat Tom Brady in a Super Bowl, unfortunately. I don't know. Maybe his kryptonite is the NFC East in the playoffs, but do you expect to see him play at 46 years old? Like, what else is there to accomplish, John?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, I'd guess that he's playing again next year. I don't think in the NFL draft this year. They have one of the worst head coaches in the NFL. They have a bunch of glaring holes. You know, I don't expect him to go to Vegas to play. I remember last year it came out that he was self to Miami. So maybe he's the answer for Tua. Maybe Tua sits a year. I've heard that sits for a year or two, and then comes back something insane like that. So maybe Miami. My dream scenario for Tom Brady, if I had to pick where he would be most successful, would be into the New York Jets. I think Tom Brady could step into the New York Jets offense and be really effective.
Jets would
honestly, with Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, I think is great. Breece Hall. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say Jets. I haven't even thought about that scenario, but they need a quarterback, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He would step in. He would get Garrett Wilson, bring those toys, and the defense is it's gross. It's a great defense. And Saleh is, he's been praised as one of the best defensive minds in the sport for a couple of years now. solid about anything anymore. He could just worry about the defense. And I think Tom Brady would probably enjoy living in New York, I would guess.
And especially with the Jets, I mean, come on. You're playing the Patriots twice a year. You're playing Bill Belichick. I would watch that just as a fan. And thankfully, as a fan, I was able to see the Dallas Cowboys beat Tampa Bay. This was a big game for Dallas. This was their first win against Tom Brady. This was their first road playoff win in 30 years. But Brett Maher's missed point afters. He missed 4 in a row. 5 if you go back to the Washington game. Like, that's been the story out of the NFL this week is Brett Maher missing literally the easiest kick you can in the NFL in the playoffs 4 times in a row. They did keep him in there. He did make his final one of the evening, which I guess is just a confidence boost. But I'm starting to think about the week ahead. I'm starting to think about the road trip to the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are favored right now by 4 points. And I can't tell, and I'm going to pose this to Jackson first. If this win over the Buccaneers, is this going to get their ego inflated in Dallas? Or are they going to be encouraged after the Buccaneers win with every facet of the team playing well except for special teams?
I think you have to look at it in this, right? You can't be confident going forward. You're playing one of the best teams talent-wise in the NFL. And you have to be humble in a win in the playoffs regardless. This Tampa Bay team was very poor throughout the season. I think we saw that with them going 8-9. This Tampa Bay team was not tremendous. Defensively and offensively, they played perfect ball. Going against the Niners, you have to do it again. You have to repeat the same exact thing. You have to be perfect on 2 facets of the ball. And not only that, you have to be perfect in all 3 facets. Maher can't have the yips this game again. He can't miss PATs. He can't miss 4 PATs again because you're going to need those 4 points against a team like the Niners. Not only that, you're probably not kicking 4 field PATs in the game against the Niners. The Niners are that tremendous. They're not going to give up that many touchdowns. So what you're looking at is a team that needs to be confident but reasonable and not boastful in a way. They can't celebrate this Tampa Bay game after Wednesday than the past week, right? They have to go into each day thinking, how do we beat this Niners team? If I'm walking onto the team jet, the team plane, I want to see my quarterback watching film on the Niners that night. I want to see them break it down from go. You can't cherish this Bucs win that much because the job's not done. Job's not finished. You got to keep going. You got to make it to the Super Bowl. And if this team doesn't have that mentality, then they won't beat the Niners, and the Niners will go on to play the Giants in the NFC Championship game. So you're looking at a team that really needs everything to go right and to have that hunger still. That's what the Cowboys need.
Jackson, I heard every word you said, and then I just felt so sick to my stomach because the people on YouTube can see John's shirt that he's wearing right now, and it is absolutely gross, disgusting, grotesque. It's a Philadelphia Eagle shirt. And Jackson, I agree because this is the time you can't have these mental gaffes. And I feel like that's what Brett Maher was having that night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the 49ers are not going to give up a lot of touchdowns. Their defense is stout. So they're going to put you in situations where you have to kick 45, 50-yard field goals just to stay in this game. And I don't love the chances. I love my Cowboys. I've said the last 2 months the 49ers are the best team in the NFL. So I know next week something's going to be right. Either I was right about the 49ers or I'm just so ecstatic that my Cowboys actually have made it to the NFC Championship game. Like that's going to be huge for the Cowboys. But let's talk about John's team, the Philadelphia Eagles, because they have a division rival in their sights. They have the New York Giants of all teams visiting them. And John, I want to get your thoughts on your team hosting the New York Giants. Are the Giants capable of an upset? What do you expect from your team coming out of a bye week?
Every team is capable of an upset. But then again, the last time we played with Jalen Hurts under center, it was 48-22, and that was in the Meadowlands. So I expect the Eagles to take care of business, and one of the big reasons I think the Eagles take care of business is because I think we could be set up here for maybe the most hyped NFC Championship game we've had in who knows, like 25 years. Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott walks into Philadelphia after beating, the 49ers, the defense, the offense. They beat them. They come into Philadelphia and they lose, and the Eagles go to the Super Bowl. I couldn't write it any better. I couldn't choose a better way to go to the Super Bowl than beating the Giants and then the Dallas Cowboys. It really would not get better than that. I don't care who we play after that point. It would be incredible. But I do think we win this week. I honestly think the Cowboys have a chance. I think Michael Parsons can make Brock Purdy uncomfortable. He hasn't faced a crazy pass rush yet. If the Cowboys can do anything kind of well, it's definitely rush the passer and make guys uncomfortable, which I don't know how Brock Purdy's going to handle that, honestly, when it comes down to it. So we'll just have to see what happens. It is in San Francisco, so that's a point to the 49ers. But I'm feeling an Eagles Dallas Cowboys NFC Championship game next week. I think that's what I'm feeling.
That would be very fitting, John, especially since we were talking a few weeks ago. Dallas didn't have Dak Prescott the first time we met up. Eagles win that game. Okay. Later on in the season, the Philadelphia Eagles don't have Jalen Hurts in that game. The Cowboys win that one. So this could be the very first Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott matchup of the year. And those two quarterbacks have been vital for their team's success this year. But what's the AFC title game going to look like? Because we got the Jaguars and Chiefs. Jackson, your home team's team, Jacksonville, even though you're not a Jaguars fan, you know them a little well. You've also watched your South Carolina Gamecocks, not USC, in a bowl game at the TIAA Bank Field. What do you expect from this game? Do you think this is going to be a humbling game for the Jaguars, or is this a trap game that could catch the Chiefs off guard?
I don't see any game as a trap game for the Chiefs, guys. I mean, unless they play Cincinnati, which is a possibility. Let's be fair. That's a possibility. Unless they play Cincinnati, I don't see any game being a trap game for Kansas City. What I do see is a test to Trevor Lawrence. Bounce back, continue the last half of that game going into Arrowhead. Continue that game. Let's see you perfect for 4 quarters instead of throwing 4 picks, right? Let's see you be perfect in a playoff game. If you can do that, then you have a chance. You have an absolute chance against this insane team in Kansas City. So if they go into Arrowhead and Trevor Lawrence is what I believe he is and what we all believe he can be, there's a chance this game actually goes in Jacksonville's favor, and we're looking at a potential Bills-Jags, Bengals-Jags AFC Championship game.
That could be interesting. And one thing with the Chiefs is they lost Tyreek Hill and they haven't seemed to lose a step. They didn't really even replace him either. They tried with Juju Smith-Schuster. That didn't work out. But they've just plugged in pieces and it's worked. And that goes to a testament of how Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have done this year. John, you're very familiar with Andy Reid. Do you think he can keep his team from falling victim to the Jags? Because they must be overlooking them right now.
I don't think they're overlooking them. I think that's probably a lesson that Andy Reid learned in Philadelphia. Unfortunately, is never overlook an opponent. Going to the NFC Championship game 4 years in a row, and only getting the Super Bowl one time. That's probably something you would pick up, I would hope. But if I asked you guys who is the best defense left in the AFC side of the bracket, I think there would be a little bit of consideration for Jacksonville. Jacksonville has some really good pieces on that defense, and it's not a defense I would want to play necessarily. Then again, they're just like their offense. They're a young team, but Josh Allen, I think we got to give Josh Allen his due. And that's the Josh Allen in Jacksonville, not the Josh Allen in Buffalo, who's also a great player. But Jaguars Josh Allen is, he's a beast. And I think it was 2 years ago, Josh Allen and the Bills were in Jacksonville, and Josh Allen and the Jaguars ended up winning the game because Josh Allen on the Jacksonville Jaguars sacked Josh Allen on the Buffalo Bills like 6 times or something insane. He was all over the field the entire game.
And John, can you imagine a non-football fan just listening in to maybe support you, maybe support Jackson, myself in our endeavors? Like, hey, my friend's on the radio today, which we'll have a first-time guest on the radio in the next segment. I'm pretty excited for. John, I'm pretty sure you'll be excited for this one as well. But they probably are so confused. Josh Allen of the Jaguars face Josh Allen of the Bills. They're not the same person, but it's like you're describing a Star Wars movie or maybe a WWE. That's how I feel explaining professional wrestling to people. It's like, guys, it's not that difficult. Just this person beat this person, but this person wasn't this person. This person went by an old name. I'm getting way off track, but uh, Jaguars and Chiefs, it could be a humbling game. It could be a trap game. I'm expecting the Chiefs to win, but the Jaguars, I feel like they feed off that energy when they're at home. I saw it when the Cowboys went down there to play. We saw it this past weekend against the Chargers. They're not going to have that energy from Duval that second half, and it's a whole different environment playing at Arrowhead, perhaps the worst stadium to play in as an opponent. Well, who are they going to play? Is it going to be Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills? And unfortunately, this is going to be the Bills Bengals rematch. If anyone is listening, they understand what happened just a few weeks ago between the Bills and Bengals. That game stopped, scratched from the records because of the Damar Hamlin injury. Damar Hamlin's doing better. He's released from the hospital. He's recovering. John, I'm just thinking about the mental psyche of playing that game again. Is that going to affect these players in this playoff game?
Absolutely. And, I just want to start off with, what happened to Damar Hamlin was obviously way above any game or any sport. And, it was really awesome to see everybody come together from inside and outside, kind of the sports sphere. How everyone came together to support him and pray for him. That was awesome. But, I mean, how can it not be, would be my question. How could it not be on everyone's mind? How could it not affect the game? I think a lot of things are going to affect the game. I feel like, the Bills are going to, of course, be playing for him and what happened in that game to him. But I think the Bengals are going to come out mad. A lot of people inside that organization, players, coaches, front office, they were upset about the decision that was made regarding what to do after that game happened with regards to seeding. They didn't like that, they could potentially have to go to Baltimore to play a playoff game and then be a wild card team for the rest of the playoffs. They didn't like that. They were kind of removed from the opportunity to get the 2 seed and have this game in Cincinnati. They didn't like that. But that being said, I think the Bengals are honestly a better team. I think Joe Burrow is a better quarterback right now. He's making better decisions is the main thing. And he also has, I think, maybe the best wide receiver room in the NFL. Jamar Chase is one of the best wide receivers I've ever seen play personally. And it's crazy. I don't think he gets his due, which is crazy to say because I think a lot of people would put him in the top 5. But yeah, I think I don't know if this is an out of pocket take. I don't know if I've never had one deemed out of pocket, but if
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Don't lie like that.
I think I'd rather have Jamar Chase than Jay Jettis than Justin Jefferson. I think I'd rather have Jamar Chase on my team than Justin Jefferson. And I know that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, and we haven't seen Justin Jefferson with the Joe Burrow yet, so maybe that's factoring in. But Jamar Chase is just physically, he's just bigger, and I want to throw to a big guy out there. You know what I mean? That's my take.
John, before we get into break, I think Jackson is about to go absolutely bonkers right here. Jackson, you have like 30 seconds to let John know exactly what's on your mind.
Justin Jefferson is one of the greatest talents we'll ever see at wide receiver. I have no idea why he's talking about Jamar Chase being better than Justin Jefferson. Like, Justin Jefferson isn't bigger. Like, what are we talking about here? That is mind-boggling. Justin Jefferson is the second best player in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes. That is wild. Wild to say. Wild to say, John.
Yeah, John, that was definitely deemed out of pocket. But well, what can you do, right? Jackson, final pick, Bills, Bengals. I think the Bills have the better quarterback, but the Bengals have the better team, so I'm picking the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm picking the Bengals too. I think they have the best overall roster. Maybe it's hard to say versus San Fran, but I believe the Bengals throughout are no doubtably like better than the Bills. The Bills are Stephon Diggs, Tre'Davious White, and Josh Allen. That's all they have, to be fair. And against this Bengals team that has T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow and that defense, dude, I just can't. I just don't. I see it being very hard for Buffalo to pull this game out.
Yeah, that's a loaded team, and we'll have to watch this weekend for it to play out. But when we come back, we're talking some hoops action because it is after Christmas Day. We know the NBA season is well underway with a first-time guest that John Cox might know all too well on Out of Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, and WWBG 1470 AM. Stay tuned right after the break. Welcome back to Out of Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, and WWBG 1470 AM. As part of your TGI Friday lineup, we got Jackson Cordray, we got John Cox, and then our YouTube viewers seeing that we have the father of John Cox. I don't know if we can confirm or deny this. I think he also goes by the name Henry Wilcox. Henry, first time on Out Pocket. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm glad to be on the show today, Mike. I got to say, and the only reason I do have evidence that he is my son, and that is that I gave him the name John Henry Cox. That's about half my name, Henry Wilcox. It's right there. You can check his birth certificate too. It says it. It says it. I promise you. But I'm doing great. How are you doing, Mike?
Doing pretty good. I don't necessarily agree with the philosophy of like naming your kid, after you, but hey,
But I only did half.
You were very creative with it. Yeah, you only did half. You didn't name him Henry Wilcox Jr. But we love him. We love Henry. And so what we want to talk about today is NBA hoops action. LeBron James is 284 points away from passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the NBA career leading scorer. He plays in Memphis tonight, and I was starting to break down the numbers on this, that if his career average is 27 points per game, it'll take about 10 or 11 games for LeBron to actually pass Kareem. And hey, why not? Let's start with John Cox, the son, maybe of Henry Wilcox. But this isn't the Josh Allen of the Bills and Josh Allen of the Jaguars situation. John, what would this scoring title mean for LeBron James at this point in his career?
The scoring title is, insane. It's an awesome stat. I don't think you could like bring it to a conversation in a meaningful way about like who's the best player of all time. I think it's a counting stat. With that being said, like it speaks to what LeBron has done for longevity. We talk about it all the time. He spends like $1 million a year on his body. He's kind of a testament to like what the apex can be from a physical standpoint. So you got to give it to him there. He's always been healthy. He's always been physically dominant. And also this year, he changed up his offensive style a lot, and I think that also speaks to his versatility as a player and as a scorer. I think he's finding different ways to score now that he's aged out, and I think that's Michael did that, Kobe did that when they lose that athleticism and that burst that they used to have. When they're essentially a child, like 24. That's what the great ones do. They add different tools to their game to get a bucket, and I think that's what LeBron has done. And I think it's really just a testament to how long LeBron has been so good in the NBA.
And he didn't play in college. He's played 20 years. Everybody knows I'm not a LeBron guy. So I'm gonna reserve. Henry, don't make that face. Our YouTube listeners are appalled by you. You're not off to a good start, Henry. But if you are the true father of John Cox, what's your take on this?
I mean, I wouldn't say that there's too much. I agree with John on one point that it doesn't change all that much unless you're one of those people that actually has Kareem above LeBron. I have met old heads that believe that. And I love Kareem. I love his game. But I think, like John was saying, it is a testament to his game being able to last this long with the level of athleticism that he did. The reason Kareem lasted as long as he did is he didn't play that crazy physical of a game, especially in his later years down low. And also, I mean, having a great point guard and Magic Johnson to help him continue to score. But at least from a LeBron standpoint, I think it's just another thing. I think it's a number that we can put on that thing that will forever kind of add on to the LeBron versus Michael Jordan debate. But I don't think it puts him over Jordan. And I know I have to argue almost every day about this as a college student. It's one of our main topics in education. But I still have Jordan as my GOAT. And my professors may disagree. The government may disagree. But Michael Jordan is number one in my heart.
Hey, Henry, that's good. You're recovering from your first appearance on Out of Pocket. Thank you for always backing Michael Jordan as a true GOAT. That's not even the question in this regard, because I know Jackson knows all too well that LeBron is second to Jordan. Not even second, even. He may be like third, fourth, fifth, sixth. But Jackson, does this scoring tile mean anything for LeBron at the later end of his career if he doesn't start putting up playoff numbers?
Playoff numbers? We're talking about playoffs? Guys,
we're just hoping he can win a game.
We're talking about playoffs?
He might miss the
playoffs.
He
made 8 straight NBA finals. He's in year 20. Year 20. And he's about to break Kareem's point scoring record. None of us thought the guy was going to do it. He's done it. It's about to be done. We're talking about the greatest basketball player of this generation, and not only of this generation, of all time. Of all time. I mean, LeBron, through and through, talent for talent, is the greatest we will ever see. Michael is the greatest scorer of all time. Do not get me wrong. And even then, there's debate with Kareem. But at the end of the day, pound for pound, greatest basketball player, I'm taking the 6'8", 260-pound freak of nature LeBron, who's got handles, who's got a shot, who can rebound, play the point. He can play 1 to 4 as arguably the best player at each position. It is absolutely fascinating that I'm on a radio show with a Duke fan in the top left corner who's talking about Michael Jordan being the greatest of all time.
That's how
John
you know I'm not biased.
And Daddy Cox, dude, I don't know what y'all are talking about when what fans y'all are, if it's Duke or whoever. But guys, I mean, look at Michael, the host of the radio show, and he's a Duke fan telling us Michael's better than Braun. It blows my mind. If anything, North Carolina deserved to win in the Final Four because of Michael's opinion. Absolute travesty to every Duke Blue Devil in America.
Jackson. Okay, Henry, I'm going to give you a teaching point here as your first time on Out of Pocket with Michael Davis. That is not how you do a take. That is not even out of pocket. That is like out of the blue jeans, whatever. Okay. That was absurd. And also, you can tell my take matters because I'm not biased in that regard. That I can admit that a former UNC player is the best player to ever play the game. That's not even in the question. Not sure what the Lakers are going to do this year. They might miss the playoffs altogether. LeBron even made comments the last week or so saying that Lakers management knows what they need to do. And Henry, I'm going to pose this to you. Should the Lakers try to make any deadline moves to contend, or should they just call it quits and say ready for next year?
I mean, I feel like saying we're ready for next year is just not an option for them. And I think LeBron is constantly in a win now kind of mindset because that's who he's LeBron. But I think what people are kind of mistaking is like, what move can they make that will put them over the edge, that will actually make them a playoff team without getting rid of Anthony Davis? And I know this is crazy because he was their second best, if not their best player during that finals run a couple of years ago. But I think if they want to make any substantial change, they would have to move Anthony Davis, and he's fragile. But if he plays healthy, they're a totally different team. They're a playoff team. They're a finals competing team. Without him, they're nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean they're maybe a play-in team. And maybe LeBron will get his youth back from the Space Jam ball or something, but I don't know. And that's the thing. If they want to make any move, they're not making like a crazy move by trading Russell Westbrook, who's actually doing relatively well off the bench this year. They're not going to get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner for him. Like, they're not going to get that big of a package that will be turning them around. So, in all honesty, if they want to make a move, it's got to be go big or go home, and I think it's drop Anthony Davis.
Wow. And with Anthony Davis, I can't trust the guy to stay healthy. And this has been my gripe about Brooklyn is like, I can't trust the guys to be on the court, whether Kyrie's going through whatever he's going through or KD's getting hurt, when Ben Simmons, is he going to be healthy? All this stuff. I can't trust them to be on the court. I can't trust Anthony Davis. Russell Westbrook actually is like a contender for Sixth Man of the Year, which is kind of crazy. Something that Tyler Hero won last year. Just wanted to put that out there. John, do you even try to consider that it's time to implode the Lakers and start rebuilding and get as much as you can for the players you have?
I mean, I think the trade is out there. I think it's almost that time where a bunch of teams start hitting the Victor Wembanyama button, sink the ships, burn the boats. We're going to get that guy. Charlotte Hornets would be the funniest possible destination for them, for him. But I do think that deal could be out there. If I was a team in the NBA, I would really value the 26-27 Lakers picks, just based off of, all the teams old, and we're not going to give them anyone that's going to make them good for the next 6 years. So let's see what we can get. I think those two picks are pretty valuable. I think there are some teams that are going to make a decision in the next couple of weeks leading up to the deadline. Like, hey, let's not leave ourselves behind and miss out on a generational prospect. I think, if I was the Portland Trailblazers, I would start thinking about maybe moving Dame Lillard. I think if you put Dame Lillard on the Los Angeles Lakers, that's the big move. I wouldn't bet on the Portland Trailblazers blowing it up in that way. I think there are better packages out there for Dame. But if the NBA wants to do a little nudge, nudge, wink, wink, hey, we got you when it's draft time. We'll hook you up. I could see Dame as a Los Angeles Laker. I think that would be cool. I think that's like the biggest guy they can go after. But there's tons of role players fishing around. Sam Presti might say, we're still not good enough. Send out Lou Dort and something else. Who knows? That would be like the funniest outcome, I think. But yeah, if you could, I wouldn't count on prying Dame away, but pick up the phone, start making calls. I don't know. You do have to win now with LeBron, or you could,
or you could not. And Jackson, I wanted to Post to you. Is there any team that comes to your mind when it comes to like maybe they should start trading away their players to get in the Wembanyama sweepstakes?
When I think of teams that need to trade away players to get in the Wembanyama sweepstakes, honestly, as a Thunder fan, I wish there was a way we could get down in there and find Wemby and all of the wins that we're gathering up that I don't love to see. A team that I wish could blow it up, but even though their star player is arguably third best player in the NBA, and a team that needs a second guy is a team like Dallas. Like, I find it very hard for Luka over the next 4 years of his contract, 5 years, whatever it is, to ever do anything more than be maybe a 6 seed, make a playoff appearance, upset, the Suns again, and then really lose out because they don't have a second star, right? Like, Luka was too good too early, and that's why I find them in need of a second guy, because they just don't have that, a true second player. Even though Wembanyama is, I mean, he can be a GOAT. So I don't know. I mean, you really put me on the spot here, Henry. I'm interested in seeing what you have to say about which team really needs to have a fire sale to get themselves in the Wembanyama sweepstakes.
Honestly, I think, in my opinion, the number one that could profit the most from selling the house right now, if they haven't already, is the San Antonio Spurs. I think what they have done in the past with one international talent like Tony Parker, and technically Tim Duncan, not really, he played college ball. But I think that Greg Pop, although he's old, giving him a generational talent like that could see them blossom within 2-3 years. Other than that, this is kind of really tentative for me to say. I really do not like the Atlanta Hawks. I enjoy Trae Young. I enjoy DeJounte Murray. I think that, honestly, the furthest that they are going to get with this team is what they did 2 years ago when they made the Eastern Conference Finals over Mr. Cox's Sixers, and absolutely blew it against the Milwaukee Bucks, like everyone expected them to do. I don't think they make it any further than that. I don't think that they can make any crazy thing. Like, they're not going to get a crazy bit for John Collins. Great player. I don't know. I think that you can't have a championship contending team with Trae Young as your number one option.
I don't think they have the picks, though. I think the Spurs do.
The Spurs absolutely have the picks. They have, I think the Hawks have a deeper roster to trade from, but people aren't really looking for that nowadays. They're looking for the picks. They're looking for the future. Those are the two that come to mind. Yeah.
Dude, the disrespect on Trae Young, I don't even know if I should. You brought out some really out of pocket takes this week on your first time, but I mean, the Trae Young disrespect, like, come on, man.
I just don't believe in a guard that cannot play remotely any defense. It's just, I don't know.
Well, in terms of one of the most fairest trades in NBA history was probably Luka for Trae. Even though it looks like the Mavs will start to win that game out. I mean, honestly, like, Luka's a generational talent. Victor Wembanyama probably will be, and we'll have to see how all of this plays out. And we got to get out of here because we got franchise players coming back. Thank you so much, Jackson Cordray, John Cox, first-time guest, Henry Wilcox, maybe the father of John Cox. We haven't confirmed. You might have to stay tuned for another episode. Would love to have all these guys back. Huh?
DNA test. Get me a DNA test.
Give him a DNA test. Turns out it is 100% Henry Wilcox. Everybody, this has been Out of Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, and WWBG 1470 AM as part of your TGI Friday lineup. We got franchise players next. We got Drop the Mic Wrestling podcast starting next Wednesday as part of the Wrestling Wednesday lineup, and we'll be back next Friday. Everybody, have a great weekend.